Hello, and welcome to our podcast on young employees' mental well-being at work. My name is Vilma Torkko, and I am a sales and marketing coordinator in Finland.
My name is Katrine Ravn, and I am an underwriter trainee in employee benefits at Industrial from Denmark.
I'm Tuomas Kaleva, and I'm working as a development specialist in marketing and business development in Finland.
So mental health problems are so common in today's workplaces and have become a major concern at both company and societal levels into 2020s. The topic has also been covered a lot in the media lately, and the Nordic countries are among the happiest nations in the world. So can the subject even concern us?
Yeah, you would think that it wouldn't concern us since we are the happiest nations in the world, but it does because it actually is mental health issues are the most common cause of sick leave and occupational disability in the Nordic countries. And there are some alarming statistics about this topic, and that 80% of current disabilities among employees under 35 years old is due to mental health issues. So I would say supporting actions for mental health is definitely crucial in every workplace and company, even more so in industries which have a shortage of employees to keep their mental health in a good condition.
Yeah, and actually, according to the Nordic Health Survey from 2023 in Denmark, every fifth young adult struggle with mental health, and 42% of them actually feel like this affects their ability to work because of these problems they might experience with mental health. So it's definitely important, I agree.
Mm.
So why are we at If Insurance interested in this topic?
Well, at If Insurance, we strive to be the most caring insurance company. So we want to help our customers address and understand the risks related to mental health and problems with mental health. And actually, we've experienced that a quite significant portion of the insurance claims these days has something to do with mental health, such as psychological treatments, and so on. And so we feel that by helping our customers address these issues, we actually also hope to reduce errors and accidents at work and ultimately promote occupational safety.
We have talked about this topic with our friends who have recently entered working life, and we have done research and also hosted a workshop for insurance and risk management students where this topic was discussed. And some interesting points were made about the potential challenges young employees face today.
Yeah, the mental health problems are already common among students, and there are signs of having exhaustion with studies, pressure to perform well and to perform well constantly, and to gain a lot of work experience during the studies. And it can be difficult to balance out your studies, especially if you have a job on top of that and your free time, which is a huge stress factor. And then I would say that a working life has maybe become more demanding in terms of flexibility, and you have to be multi-skilled nowadays and very adaptable to changes, which are usually quite quick in current working life, and that requires a lot of resilience from our young employees nowadays.
Mental health is strongly linked to changes in working life and culture. Working life has become more information-based and multitasking-oriented, and remote and hybrid working has become more common, providing a degree of freedom in some industries, but on the other hand, require more self-management from employees, and then poses some challenges to onboarding and providing support from the manager.
Yeah, and I think another important thing worth noting is the excessive use of social media these days, and how this might also impact how young adults perceive themselves when entering the work life, sort of exerting this external pressure and promoting social comparison. So young adults might sit on LinkedIn and compare what is happening to other young adults and my friends and even study buddies.
That's a good point, because I think social media can maybe distort your expectations a little bit about how working life should be.
So what factors typically cause anxiety and stress and burnout in the workplace?
Well, factors that have come up during our discussions and research are incomplete and inadequate onboarding, overwhelming workloads, but also unclear job responsibilities and tasks. So you might not understand what you're doing or why you're doing it.
I would say if you have a lot of rush at work, and that can be a stress factor, and especially in project-based work where you have to finish up the latest project to go on straight after that to the next, and that's all in a small time frame. So that's one. And then I would say having too much responsibility at the get-go, and if you don't wait that your skills develop and you get too much responsibility, that can build up a lot of stress for you.
Right, and on the other hand, if you don't get enough responsibility, then your work might seem a little bit purposeless or unmotivating because, again, you don't understand your responsibility and why you're performing these tasks.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah, those are some great points. And I also thought of the lack of support at work and the so-called imposter syndrome, where you're insecure about your own skill level.
About identifying the problems, I would first say that a proactive and emotionally intelligent leadership is the starting point here to understand the working conditions and demands for your employees. And training for managers to actually address mental health issues at work is crucial because you have to be able to identify the psychosocial stress factors every employee has at work, and then how to bring them up in a conversation. And that's a way to build competence of managers and to prevent, sick leaves and everything else that becomes after having these issues.
Right. And when we talk about the early warning signs, we need to recognize that these can happen both on a company level and at an individual level. So on a company level, it might be increased absence in a certain period of time, or it could be increased employee rate turnovers. Whereas on an individual level, it might be changes in behavior. So getting easily frustrated. Used to be very social. Now you're kind of introverted. It could be working excessive overtime. It could be showing up late to meetings or showing up unprepared. And essentially all these changes in one's behavior could be early warning signs that something might be off and that there's something there needs to be addressed.
Good point.
So issues with coping at work can come up during one-on-one talks with the supervisor or even when talking with colleagues during a coffee break. So these mental well-being factors should also be regarded in staff surveys. And this all requires a psychologically safe work environment where you dare to say if something is too much or when you're feeling overwhelmed. So what kind of qualities and practices do younger workers value from the employer's side? Some things that were highlighted are easily approachable managers, having support from the managers and colleagues, and then low hierarchy and open communication at work.
Right, and another thing that we've learned is that younger generations generally tend to value flexible working hours and working from home and all of these things that sort of gives them a chance to adapt their schedules to their needs and have that flexibility that it entails.
So all in all, how could companies support young adults' mental well-being, ability to work, and what is the role of the manager in all of this?
Well, based on our discussion, there's an indication that supporting and promoting mental health at work is possible if you focus on two basic elements, that is preventing measures and then organizing workloads. So early intervention to address stress and early warning signs can be extremely effective in preventing mental health problems from escalating. And this, like previously mentioned, includes educating managers and fellow colleagues in these early warning signs, what they are, but also how to react and work with them. How do we mitigate these behaviors? However, in the situation that you somehow missed these early warning signs, there are also preventive measures such as treatment, which could include low threshold counseling, stress management tool, but also a pathway to occupational health care, such as psychological treatment or psychotherapy and all of these. And these types of treatments are also included in IF's insurance offerings when it comes to healthcare insurance.
Although there is professional help available, supporting mental health cannot be fully outsourced to someone else, like, for example, occupational healthcare. I think every workplace should have a systematic approach for this topic, and I mean a plan, basically, for preventive measures and then reactive measures to address the mental health issues of employees. And some like mental health education and support services, such as low threshold counseling, they have been proven being very effective fighting against stress and anxiety at work. And mental health resources provided by the employer actually contribute to a more positive working atmosphere. And of course, also they contribute to productivity at work and less long sick leaves. And I would add that mental health it's basically also our own responsibility to keep our own limits, talk about our own limits with our managers and colleagues, as well as keeping our recovery in balance and getting enough sleep, getting enough exercise. These are like the basic elements for mental health also, as well as physical health. And I would say that every workplace should have like trainings on how to be a good teammate or colleague to support other colleagues' mental health and how to bring these topics up.
And I think having a psychologically safe culture and colleagues, including a manager who can provide peer support, cannot be emphasized enough. A culture where bringing up mental health related issues does not lead to judgment or embarrassment or any stigma concerning any mental health issues is important to identify the problems as soon as possible.
But managers can also help the employee organize their tasks and projects to match the employee's ability to work, even maybe permanently, or it could also be a short period of time. But they can also organize these tasks according to how the employee prefer to work with projects and solve specific problems. And this flexibility will ultimately also make it easier for the employee to achieve this work-life balance, as we had earlier discussed, which is also one of the important supporting pillars when it comes to recovery from mental health issues. But in general, managers should always be aware of their employees' workload and frequently check up with the employee. How are you doing? Is it too much? Or how are you feeling today? Is there anything we can change? So, yeah, that's really important.
You mentioned the work adaptation possibility. I think that is also relevant when returning to work after a long absence due to mental health issues, to be able to tailor the tasks individually to support the recovery process and to prevent it from happening again.
In general, for young employees, the onboarding process is so important when it comes to supporting their well-being, and especially if it's their first job and it's the first responsibility they're taking on. So providing mentoring support can really help build trust, but also a sense of responsibility. And it's also allowing the employee to develop their skills and get confidence in the workplace, but also gain confidence in themselves. Studies show that this will also help them quickly settle into their new environment and maybe even avoid the excess stress that usually comes with taking on a new job and getting a new lifestyle, and you're in a new environment and all of that. So ultimately, by providing a supportive and structured onboarding experience for the employee, managers and fellow colleagues can really help to set up this employee for success in the future.
Yeah, 100% agree. Yeah.
So to wrap up, employers can mitigate the risk of long sick leaves due to mental health issues of young employees by focusing on early intervention and also prevention. This can be achieved by implementing programs to reduce stress and anxiety, comprehensive onboarding process, and promoting work-life balance. Also offering flexible work arrangements and job adaptation possibilities, and providing mental health support and training for managers to identify and then address the potential issues is good. Additionally, employers should create a supportive and inclusive work environment that promotes open communication and reduces stigma around mental health. So thank you for participating.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And then stay tuned for our next podcast.